I got a question here. I thought I'm buying an investment property, borrowing over 90%. Is it possible? Not a first home buyer in Melbourne. That's a really great question. Before I dig into this question, I just really give a shout out to everyone who has booked an inquiry with me. You guys literally booked out my whole calendar. See all these names here? These are all from TikTok inquiries. For those guys who's trying to book a call with me and you see the error message saying it's all booked out, you just need to simply go to the next week because this week is all booked out. There's still slots next week. Thank you so much, guys. I love speaking to you and answering your questions. Back to this question, can you buy a over 90% loan on an investment property? Yes, you certainly can, but not with the major banks, and I'll show you a table on that. Start off with the banks, which I say the major banks, the second tier banks, ING, St. George, and then the credit unions. Most of them will allow you to borrow a maximum 90% investment, but then it's made up of LMI, which is mortgage insurance. So basically you're borrowing 88% plus mortgage insurance. So that equals to 90% max. And most of the time, some lenders do it, but you need to prove genuine savings, which is 5% of the deposit that you're putting through in this investment property is genuinely saved. And that means that money that you've saved, which is 5%, needs to be in your bank account for at least minimum 3 months without any withdrawals from it. But your question is, you want over 90%, and is it possible? Yes, you can actually do 95% with these non-banks, and it's made up of 93% plus 2% mortgage insurance. Just like this, 88 plus 2, 90, but the maximum is 95. 93 plus 2 is 95. And the great thing with these non-banks is because they're outside of the square in terms of lending, they don't give a shit about genuine savings. Non-gen savings is acceptable. So the next question you might ask is, what's that bank? And because I don't hold back with my info that I put on TikTok, I'll show you the bank. The bank is called Liberty, and as advertised, they can do 95% of the property value. However, the maximum loan amount is $900,000. And look at this, non-gen saving is okay. However, they do charge some fees because they are non-bank and they're not one of those big commercial banks. But hey, when you're borrowing over 90% to get an investment property, fees and rates is not a big issue, just to get your foot into the market. In terms of rates, because it's a non-conforming lender, you'll be looking at 4.6 to 4.99. So however, depending on the situation and how risky that property is, you can go from 5 to 5.5. So if your investment property is $750,000, 95% looks like $712,500, made up of 93% that goes to the vendor on settlement, 2% for mortgage insurance. At a 4.95 variable rate interest only, the repayment is $679 per week. If you're getting a $700 a week rental or even above, you're winning. So thank you for the question, and again, very possible.